Samoa Joe shockingly defeats Hangman Adam Page to become the brand new AEW World Champion last night at AEW Full Gear. But the show goes off the air with the return of Swerve Strickland, who comes to the aid of Hangman Adam Page after Page was being beaten down by the Ops. All this and more in this news update. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with the brand new AEW World Champion, that being Samoa Joe. Joe, a very bloody Samoa Joe, is the brand new AEW World Champion. Samoa Joe challenged AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page for his title at Full Gear. It was inside of a steel cage, so no one could escape. The only way they could win the match was via pinfall or submission, and it was a brutal, violent, and bloody affair. Both members of the Ops showed up, but Hangman Adam Page was able to fight them off. Now, Powerhouse Hobbs showed up in the match and broke the chain lock. He entered the ring and exchanged blows with Adam Page. Joe then found an opportunity for the Coquina Clutch, but Page once again escaped. He delivered a buckshot lariat, but the referee was down to count the pinfall. This is when Hook emerged, who of course has been on the outs with the Ops for quite some time after being replaced by Powerhouse Hobbs. He came down to try and get the official to do his job, but unfortunately for Hangman Adam Page, it was all a ruse, as you can see on the screen right there. He hit Hangman Page with the title, allowing Joe to go for a muscle buster and get the pinfall and win the AEW World Championship. This now means that Samoa Joe is a two-time AEW World Champion. Joe finally being able to defeat Hangman Page, and as I mentioned, Hook once again aligning himself with the Ops. The Ops were not only just Katsuyori Shibata and Powerhouse Hobbs at AEW Full Gear, but also now Hook, but actually a whole litany of the dojo. Yes, the whole dojo of the Ops was there to not only celebrate with the brand new AEW World Champion, but also was there to attack Hangman Page after the match, as you can see on the screen right there, courtesy of this YouTube video shot by Mike Weiss. Joe pinning Hangman Page, winning the AEW World Championship. Now, Joe covered in blood there that you can see. Joe was busted open very early on, actually, in the match. The match began with both wrestlers exchanging strikes. Less than 2 minutes into the match, Joe had split open his head after Hangman sent him in the cage, and then he was bleeding for the vast majority of it. So Joe, once again the AEW World Champion, but seemingly the story isn't over there, because we now have seen Swerve Strickland return to AEW at Full Gear last night. Swerve is back. He's made his return at Full Gear after Samoa Joe won the AEW World title. The lights went down and a visual of a burning house played on the video screen. Now, of course, that leads to the history between Swerve and Hangman Page. Prince Nana stood at the top of the ramp as he did the familiar call of Whose House Rang Out. Then Swerve entered the arena to a brand new theme song. You can actually see footage of Swerve Strickland's return on the screen right there. You can actually even see Prince Nana in the pitch black there, waiting for the former AEW World Champion to make his return. Swerve, after a long and lengthy pop from the crowd in Newark, New Jersey, you can see on the screen right there what I'm referring to, the house being burnt down, similar to how Hangman burnt down Swerve's house during their bitter and personal feud, but it would appear that the two are actually showing signs of respect to one another. Swerve eventually made his way down to the ring, and the Ops, interestingly enough, cleared a path, believing that Swerve would be looking to go after the fallen body of Hangman Page. Due to their history, of course, you've got breaking and entering, you've got arson, you've got staples, you've got blood, you've got violence, you've got pretty much everything you can possibly think of when it comes to the rivalry between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page. So the Ops, logically, were under the impression that Swerve would be going after the now former AEW World Champion, but that wasn't the case, as Swerve actually attacked Powerhouse Hobbs, Katsuyori Shibata, Hook, Joe, and everyone in the Ops dojo. Swerve and Hangman cleared the ring as the Ops made their way up the ramp to close the show. Now, when it comes to Swerve Strickland, as for where he's been, of course, Swerve Strickland had been off television since being defeated by the AEW Unified Champion Kazuchika Okada back at the AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door pay-per-view back a couple of months ago. It was reported afterwards that he had undergone surgery for a torn meniscus following the pay-per-view. There were a litany of different reports suggesting that he would be back, or the aim was that he would be back before the close of the year, and that's exactly what happened. As you can see right there, Swerve in the ring, getting physical with the Ops, fighting off the entirety of the Ops dojo, leading to confirmation that Swerve was not going to be coming back as a heel. He's coming back as a babyface, and seemingly aligning himself with Hangman Adam Page. Now, it'll be interesting to see, of course, if Hook does have to pay for his crimes when it comes to Hangman, and are we looking at Joe possibly his first opponent for the AEW World Championship? Are we going to be getting Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland? What are your thoughts on Strickland's return? Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Now, Chris Statlander, she is still the AEW Women's World Champion, retaining her title at Full Gear. Statlander retained the AEW Women's title at Full Gear, defeating Mercedes Moné in the co-main event. The finish saw Statlander block the Moné maker by ramming Mercedes into the corner multiple times. She followed up with Saturday Night Fever for the victory. Now, during the match, Mercedes hit 14 suplexes, one for each of her titles, and an extra one to represent the AEW Women's World title. This was the third successful title defense for Statlander. Of course, she won the title at AEW All Out. This was the first time Statlander had defeated Mercedes. She was previously 0-2. So despite Mercedes having all of these titles, still she is unable to win the big one in All Elite Wrestling. Now, the Elite are finally reunited at AEW Full Gear. Kenny Omega teamed up with Jurassic Express, that being Jungle Jack Perry and Luchasaurus, to compete in a $1 million trios match against the Don Callis family's Josh Alexander and former AEW EVPs, the Young Bucks. Big money was on the table, and Alexander and the Bucks were going to do everything it possibly could and took to win that $1 million. And that's exactly what they were able to do. They were able to actually win those very precious monetary prizes. In the final minutes of the match, Perry went for a lariat on Matt and Nick, who were held up on the shoulder by Luchasaurus and Omega, but the Bucks escaped. They super kicked Omega, Perry, and went for a super kick on Luchasaurus as well, but hit Alexander instead. Omega then hit Alexander with a one-winged angel outside of the ring. Inside of the ring, Perry went for a roll-up on Nick but had a near fall. Then the Bucks hit him with a BTE trigger, allowing them to win the match. Now, this is where things get interesting, because post-match, as you can see right there, the Bucks and Callis left the ring with their money, but Alexander had other plans. He, alongside the rest of the Don Callis family, attacked Kenny Omega's leg, but the Bucks were not happy with this. They left the money and had saved Kenny Omega from this 5-on-1 assault with a super kick party. Luchasaurus and Perry joined them shortly after, and they shook hands. Now, Kenny Omega, as you can see right there was a lot of conflict with the Young Bucks. They were not happy with Don Callis for what the Don Callis family was doing to their former friend, I guess, in this case. They, despite Don Callis's cries for them to leave and to stay away, ultimately they made the choice to put friendship over fortune, I guess, and made their way back down to the ring to assist Kenny Omega, as you can see right there in the ring, fighting off the Don Callis family with clotheslines, with super kicks, making sure, with one there to Mark Davis. It then led to this awkward initially confrontation, I guess, between Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but eventually, as you can see right there, despite standoff, they extended their hands to Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, who was wobbling on his injured leg, despite the Bucks raising their hands, Kenny Omega actually denied it. He wasn't having this handshake situation with the Young Bucks. Instead, he decided to go for something else, slapping away his former, I guess now current friends for hands. Instead, he decided that he didn't want to shake hands because friends have to hug. So the Elite reunited, embracing in the ring, as you can see right there, much to the applause of the fans in attendance, but also Jurassic Express as well, with hands being raised, and seemingly the Bucks are rich, and also their friendship is now back on. Let's go to the AEW TNT Championship. We have a brand new AEW TNT champion in Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe won the AEW TNT title at Full Gear, defeating Kyle Fletcher. The bout was contested under no disqualification rules. The finish saw Briscoe hit a razor's edge through a barbed wire table and follow up with the J Driller onto a pile of tacks. Before picking up the victory, Briscoe kicked out after being hit in the head multiple times with a screwdriver and getting dropped with a brainbuster onto the tacks as well. This is the first reign as AEW TNT champion for Briscoe. Fletcher made 7 successful title defenses during his 115-day reign. Had Briscoe lost, of course, he would have been forced to join the Don Callis family. But the pleasantries didn't end there for Mark Briscoe, because following in the footsteps of several former AEW TNT champions, Briscoe has a custom AEW TNT championship. It was actually given to him by Orange Cassidy after the show. This video aired on social media, which you can see on the screen right there. Briscoe was with his TNT title, but he was given a custom version by his fellow member of the conglomeration. Shortly, you'll be able to see Briscoe hold it up. He gave his old TNT championship to Orange Cassidy. It'll be interesting to see what he does with that. But Briscoe has his new title, which you can see in all of its glory right there. Now, speaking of the conglomeration, another big victory for Kyle O'Reilly. Once again, he's tapped out the former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly have been feuding for quite some time now. After losing at AEW Blood and Guts, Moxley called Kyle's victory a fluke and challenged him again. Kyle accepted, and both wrestlers were set to face each other once again at AEW Full Gear in a no-holds-barred match. Things got incredibly violent, as you can imagine, with stabbings, with blood, with everything you can possibly expect for a Jon Moxley match. Now, involving all of these weapons and Death Riders and what have you, the match finally ended when Kyle wrapped Jon Moxley's foot with a chair and went for the ankle lock. Moxley once again quickly tapped out. This is something we've been seeing a lot recently. It is the second time Jon Moxley has tapped out to Kyle O'Reilly in less than 2 weeks. Now, post-match, Mox attacked Kyle when the medical staff was checking on his injured arm. This then led to some comments from AEW President Tony Khan in the post-show press conference. AEW President Tony Khan stated that O'Reilly probably wasn't going to be cleared for the Continental Classic. Now, Tony noted that O'Reilly wanted to be in the tournament and was looking forward to competing in the Continental Classic. Tony has said that he will announce the field early in the week. We do have some confirmation on some other stars that are going to be in AEW's annual tournament, though, in the form of Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher, which makes some very interesting happenings in the Don Callis family. Both men announced their entry during AEW Full Gear in a backstage segment alongside Don Callis and Kazuchika Okada. As the reigning AEW Continental Champion, Okada is automatically entered into the tournament as well. This will be the second Continental Classic for Okada and Fletcher. It is the first for Takeshita, but Takeshita has a lot of recent tournament success. Takeshita did win the 2025 New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax tournament. Of course, he then went on to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. He is the current champion for that promotion. Ricochet made history at AEW Full Gear last night, becoming the first ever national champion. All Elite Wrestling introduced a new championship into the fold, known as the AEW National Championship. The first ever champion was crowned via a casino gauntlet match at Full Gear. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin started the match as the number 1 and 2 entrants. Coming out in the number 3 spot was Ricochet, but he was joined by The Demand, who attacked Lashley and Benjamin from behind, while Ricochet targeted MVP. MVP was helped to the back, and The Demand were ejected from ringside. Another highlight from the bout saw Daddy Magic Matt Menard enter the match as Daniel Garcia was in the ring. The two brawled, and their fight carried over into the crowd. The final sequence of the match saw Ricochet hit Kevin Knight with a spirit gun, and that secured him the win and the AEW National Championship. Names that entered the match were Lashley, Benjamin, Ricochet, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, Orange Cassidy, Wheeler Yuta, Kevin Knight, Roderick Strong, Mark Davis, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Daddy Magic Matt Menard. FTR have reclaimed the AEW World Tag Team Championships. They captured the titles for a third time at Full Gear, defeating the now former champions Brodido. FTR finished off Bandito with the Shatter Machine. Now, prior to the finish, FTR took out Brody with a spike piledriver on the apron. With Bandito alone in the ring, FTR with a double pancake and spike piledriver, but Bandito kicked out both times. Now, earlier in the bout, Stokely Hathaway was taken out by Brody, who dove to the outside. Stokely pushed Dax out of the way way to save him by putting himself in the line of fire. This is the third reign as AEW Tag Team Champions for FTR and their first since 2023. Brodido's reign lasted 91 days. They made 5 successful title defenses. The Timeless Love Bombs were victorious at AEW Full Gear, now have a bit of an advantage when it comes to the AEW Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament. Timeless Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa will now have an advantage in their upcoming semi-final match against Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir in the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament. AEW announced a tournament for the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championships back in September. The Sisters of Sin, the Babes of Wrath, Timeless Love Bombs, and Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir won their quarterfinal matches and were scheduled for this four-way tag team match at Full Gear to decide the stipulation for the semi-final match. The Timeless Love Bombs won their match after Toni Storm pinned Harley Cameron. Both wrestlers tried to pin each other several times just before this. Now, speaking of that tournament, it continues this week on AEW Dynamite Thanksgiving Eve. AEW announced the Babes of Wrath, that being Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron, will take on the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart and Sky Blue, in the semi-finals of the AEW Women's Tag Team Title Tournament on the November 26th episode of AEW Dynamite. Of course, no stipulation though, because neither one of them won their match at Full Gear. Pac got a big victory over Darby Allin in the opening match of AEW Full Gear, the official opening match, that is. Now, Darby Allin's body was bandaged up following being put through a flaming table by Pac during the recent men's Blood and Guts match. During their Full Gear bout, Pac press slammed Darby Allin from the ring apron onto the floor. He then took the bandages off Darby Allin's body and began to roughly scrape his hands across Darby Allin's burns. But despite all of this, he couldn't put Darby Allin away by himself. He had to resort in getting some Death Rider involvement. The conclusion of the bout saw Darby Allin put Pac in a Scorpion Deathlock. Pac called for help, and out came his Death Rider's faction mate Wheeler Yuta. Yuta distracted the referee while Pac grabbed the bat to hit Darby Allin across the face with it. That secured Pac the victory in the match. We spoke earlier on about the Don Callis family, and there's a bit of trouble in paradise, isn't there, between Okada and Takeshita in that faction, and the issues continued at Full Gear. El Sky Team retained the CMLL World Trios titles at Full Gear, defeating Okada, Takeshita, and Hechicero. The finish saw Mystico tap out Hechicero with La Mystica. During the bout, Okada and Takeshita had their share of mistakes, with Okada repeatedly hitting Takeshita and tossing him out to the ring at one point, which was followed by Okada hitting the Rainmaker on Takeshita. Kazuchika Okada was even late arriving to the match, not showing up until the actual pay-per-view started. Mystico was initially taken out with Hechicero going after his arm. Mystico was helped to the back but got his arm taped up, returned to the match, and actually got the winning submission. And we saw Big Boom AJ continue his success in All Elite Wrestling. The combo of Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall brought the boom, which spelled doom for the Don Callis family at AEW Full Gear Tailgate Brawl. At the end of the bout, Big Justice got in the ring and he hit a diamond cutter on Rocky Romero, who was poised to use the cast as a weapon. Trent went after Big Justice, but Paul White, who was on commentary, hit him with a knockout punch. Big Boom and QT followed up with a Big Boom blockbuster combo for the victory. The Rizzler, wearing a cape, was in the corner of Big Boom and AJ. He brought the Riz as he always does. Now, this was a bit of a full circle moment, wasn't it, for Big Boom and QT, because they were opponents at last year's Full Gear, with Big Boom picking up the victory. Over the last year, Big Boom has become a thorn in the side of the Don Callis family. To combat them, Big Boom turned to his former friend, turned enemy, turned friend again, and now I guess turned tag team partner. The Bang Bang Gang got a lot richer last night at AEW Full Gear. $200,000 richer, that is. Starting the action at the AEW Full Gear Saturday Tailgate Brawl was a four-way match with $200,000 up for grabs. Competing in the match were the following teams: Matt Castor and Anthony Bowens, the Bang Bang Gang, which was Juice Robinson and Colton Gunn with Ace Austin at ringside, Big Bill and Brian Keith, and the Outrunners. Emerging victorious from the bout were the Bang Bang Gang. Juice Robinson pinned Anthony Bowens to secure the victory and also the payout for his team. Now, we've got some news and notes from AEW President Tony Khan in his post-show media scrum. First of all, let's talk about the possible sale of Warner Bros. Discovery and how that could affect All Elite Wrestling. Warner Bros. Discovery is evaluating strategic options and is reportedly up for sale. Now, a recent report from Deadline listed Netflix, Paramount, and Comcast having submitted bids for the company. AEW, of course, is under the WBD umbrella, but Netflix and Comcast have WWE programming, and Paramount begins a deal with the UFC in 2026, all of course meaning they have ties to TKO. At the Full Gear press conference, AEW President Tony Khan was asked by Aria Winter of F4W if he was worried about the future of AEW should WBD be sold to a company that already has TKO content. Khan said, quote, "I'm not worried at all. I feel really good. We have a great partnership with Warner Bros. Discovery and are blessed to be on TBS and TNT and now having a show stream on HBO Max. No, that doesn't concern me at all. I am very, 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 very optimistic about the future of AEW and where everything is going." Now, Khan was also asked about the changes over the last year in All Elite Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling wrapped its 2025 Full Gear pay-per-view. After the event, of course, was the traditional post-show media scrum, and AEW President Tony Khan fielded questions from the media. He was asked how he felt around the time of Full Gear 2024 in comparison to how he feels about the present day. Khan said he felt embattled in 2024, but at Full Gear 2025, that feeling is 180 degrees in the opposite direction. He said, quote, "1 year ago, sitting in this chair today, I don't feel now. 1 year ago and today, it's 180 degrees the other way. Felt 1 year ago embattled. I feel the opposite. Doing 10,000 fans and having the Full Gear show felt like the beginning of a turnaround, and that's really what the vibe, the Full Gear last year was like. This feels like the beginning of a big turnaround for us. And you look at 1 year later, and it feels like we're on such a great run this year. But I felt like 1 year ago, that was the beginning of a great run of things that now, like you said, full circle, it feels like a total opposite feeling, where it feels like a year ago, it felt like the beginning of a turnaround, and now it feels like just flow momentum, and what a great year we've been having." Now, a lot of people pointed out Hangman Adam Page had a pretty special entrance last night at AEW Full Gear prior to losing the AEW World Championship to Samoa Joe in that steel cage match. Now, Page did not come out to his usual theme song. He entered to American Venom, which is an instrumental track from the Red Dead Redemption 2 video game. At the Full Gear post-show media scrum, AEW President Tony Khan spoke about securing the rights to the song and said it was a race against time to get that done. He said, quote, "I was really glad we got that license done. That was a race against time. Great work, guys. Got it done. Great to the team. Thanks, guys, and very grateful." So despite that special entrance, not a special night for Hangman, it would appear. And we do also have some AAA news here because they had a show last night with some very noteworthy and newsworthy moments. Now, the AAA World Mixed Tag Team Championships was on the line last night. The champions Ethan Page and Chelsea Green put their titles up for grabs against the duo of Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana. The conclusion of the match saw Page hit Iguana with a kendo stick while the referee was down. That secured the victory for him and Green. Post-match, AAA Latin American champion El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. hit the ring and began brawling with Page. Green hit Wagner Jr. with her title belt to help Page out. Page is set to challenge Wagner Jr. for the Latin American Championship on December 20th at Guerrera de Titans. Now, we also saw a challenge being put out there by the Lucha Brothers for an upcoming AAA show. The conclusion of AAA's November 22nd show saw El Grande Americano and AAA Mega Champion Dominic Mysterio take on El Hijo del Vikingo and WWE World Tag Team Champion Dragon Lee. The duo of Mysterio and Americano ended up securing the victory as Vikingo left Lee to fend for himself. After the match, Dominic was addressing the crowd, and then a video message aired from the Lucha Brothers. They challenged Mysterio and El Grande to a match at AAA Guerrera de Titans on December 20th. Of course, Penta is on WWE's Monday Night Raw brand, and Phoenix is on SmackDown. They have not teamed together since July 2024, when they were still with All Elite Wrestling. The last time they tagged together in AAA was in December of 2022. The Wyatt Six, they're also going to be having a match in AAA next month. At multiple AAA events, there have been physical confrontations between AAA World Tag Team Champions Psycho Clown and Pagano and the group known as the Wyatt Six. At the show last night for AAA, Dave the Clown, Murder Clown, Psycho Clown, and Pagano scored a victory over El Ojo. Now, post-match, Psycho Clown called out the Wyatt Six. A video message from Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, aired, and he accepted the invitation and said his group will be at the upcoming AAA show on December 20th to face Psycho Circus. And finally, Javon Evans is going to be getting an opportunity at a AAA championship soon. The opening match at last night's AAA show was this three-way that saw Octagon Jr. versus Axiom versus Javon Evans. On commentary for the bout was AAA World Cruiserweight Champion Laredo Kid. Emerging victorious from the bout was Evans. He hit Axiom with a springboard cutter, and that secured him the victory. Post-match, Laredo Kid got in the ring and shook hands with Evans. They then faced off, and Laredo held up the championship. Now, a date for the match has not yet been set, but AAA does have a show on November 28th. Of course, there is also that big show in December, so it could take place there as well. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.